Secretary of State Anthony Blinken telling China's foreign minister the world is watching their response to the Russia war on Ukraine. Our next guest warns the invasion has both emboldened and discouraged the Chinese on their plans to target Taiwan. Author and Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow Gordon Chang joins us now. Gordon, great to talk to you again. Emboldened and discouraged. That's interesting. Let's go through those one at a time. So China's looking at Russia's invasion of Ukraine. How are they emboldened?
They're emboldened because there was a general breakdown of deterrence, Will. Remember, the United States was so much more powerful than both Russia and Belarus. For instance, our economy was 13.5 times larger than Russia's last year, and yet the Russians invaded nonetheless. Also, the failure to sanction Russian gas sales, I think the Chinese are watching very carefully because they're saying that the United States really is, as they've said in the past, a paper tiger, that the United States is feeble, doesn't have the strength to accomplish its aims. Those are the things that make war more likely. And by the way, it's not just Taiwan. It's also Japan, the Philippines, India, could be Bhutan and Nepal. It's just everywhere around China's periphery to the south and east.
Yeah, okay, so emboldened because they don't see much of the West, much of the United States doing anything to stop it from occurring ahead of time. But I would have to think, when you say they've been discouraged, Gordon, there have been heavy economic sanctions now imposed upon Russia, corporations included, pulling out of business with Russia. Would they do the same with China? That's the great unknown, and I think China's probably asking themselves that same question.
Oh, absolutely. The financial sanctions, for instance, freezing bank accounts and removal of some banks from SWIFT, is important. But really, I think that the most important factor discouraging the Chinese is the heroic actions of the Ukrainian people. Beijing's view of the world, decade in and decade out, is that big countries get to do what they want. And I'm sure that they felt that Putin's armor would just roll over Ukraine and the people would not resist. When you come to Taiwan, that is a factor in Chinese minds. Because remember that in Taiwan, people self-identify as Taiwanese overwhelmingly. About 85% say they're Taiwanese only, not Chinese. Those who identify themselves on the island as Chinese only is low single digits. And that means you're going to have a people who will resist, especially in the mountainous areas of Taiwan, which is about a majority of the island.
Right. Yeah. So, in other words, they see we might have a very much bigger fight on our hands than we would have anticipated. And then that gets ugly and drawn out and provokes the world's response. Gordon, thank you for that. Both emboldened and discouraged. We hope we'll keep our eye on China throughout this process. Thank you, Gordon.